What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my morning trend rant that someone already took exception to by saying it was false advertising, that it was not really a rant. That's why I specify morning trend rant, so that you understand that when I'm laying in bed in the morning and I'm just kind of rambling or ranting about a topic, that it's not going to have the same fucking energy as I do late in the day after I've had all my calories and, I've had 10 to 12 hours with the rest of humanity to get me good and fucking pissed off. Usually when I wake up first thing in the morning, I'm in a relatively good mood as far as, my outlook on life. And then what happens is the more time I spend around people, the more fucking homicidal I become. And then eventually it boils over into a trend rant later on in the evening. Also on the topic of trend rants, if anybody has a trend rant request, I would be open to taking those, I think. Because like I said, dude, I can fucking rant about anything. I don't even need to really believe in the topic matter. It's just like, I just like to go off about shit. So, nevertheless, today, as you can see from the title, what we're actually going to be talking about is my my cycle update at week 15. I know every time I have to describe this, it's more than a little bit convoluted because I basically smashed 2 cycles together. So for weeks 1 through 12, I was running Test E 500 milligrams, Masteron E 300 milligrams, Tren E as high as 350 milligrams. And the trend got more than I could fucking handle and was stressing my relationship. And so I decided to dial it down and do a little experimentation. So for the last 3 weeks, I have been running Test E 500 milligrams, Masteron E 300 milligrams, Tren E 100 milligrams, Deca 200 milligrams, because I have read ad nauseum. That's not true. If I'm being honest, when you look at, I changed my camera angle and now I can't decide whether I like my head in the center or at the top of the frame. I keep wanting to go like, anyway, when you look online about combining 2 19-nor drugs, the community's really split down the middle. Some people say that it's one of the best cycles they've ever run, and some guys unfortunately have tons of psychological issues. To be quite honest, I fully expected to be in the tons of psychological issues camp. I was fully expecting this to be one fucking gigantic hot mess, and so far it has not been. So again, I'm running a relatively, 200 milligrams of Deca is far from gigantic, 100 milligrams of Tren, very manageable. But you still have 300 milligrams of 19-nors combined together. And if the bro science is true, which I'm not saying one way or the other that it is because I have not seen this data, but I have come across a number of, I believe, Reddit posts that make the claim. Somebody may have even made the claim in my comment section that Tren and Nandrolone activate different parts of the dopamine receptor. And that can cause people to have some like OCD type of behaviors. All kinds of shit can go wrong, supposedly. Whether or not this is true, I do not know. All I can tell you is that so far, this has been a phenomenal cycle for me that has been totally devoid of anything that I would call bizarre psychological effects. Which is sort of easy to say when you're coming off of a substantial amount of Trenbolone. So at 100 milligrams of Tren, I'm relatively even keeled. My wife is probably frowning in the background in the other room, but to put it into reference point, as I said, I like to use like an RPM gauge in a sports car. If I'm on 300 milligrams of Tren, my engine is basically revved at like 3,000 to 35 RPMs. It's like fully in the power band to where you just have to touch the throttle and whoa, we're off and fucking going. I'm just pegged to the fucking max all day, every single day at 300 milligrams of Tren. Whereas at 100 milligrams of Tren, I'm like in cruising mode. I'm just kind of hovering down around 2,000 RPMs, but this is still a sports car because it's still got Tren in the mix. So all it takes is for me to push on the pedal, engine's gonna downshift, and we're gonna be in trend rant mode in very fucking short order. But it's just way more psychologically manageable when you're in a state that it feels like you're in control of the drug rather than the drug being in control of you. So it feels like somebody cuts you off in traffic. If you want to, if you want to downshift and go chase them down, you absolutely can, and you can do it on demand. But you also have more freedom to go, man, fuck that guy. I'm not even trying to do that right now. And so that to me is the sweet spot for Trent. I will be honest, my wife is probably going to hear this. She's going to get frustrated with me. I have been toying with the idea over the last few days of trying to see what would happen, like to try to test the upper limits of where Trent is manageable. So like part of me is like, well, what if I do 150? Like, can I do 150 and not go into crazy territory? I think I'm gonna save that. I'm not gonna do that for now, but I think that's definitely going to be something that I test in the future. Just because I like to test shit, I would like to know what exactly is the cutoff point. I think I mentioned this joke before. I think it was Chris Rock who said it. I think it was Rock, or maybe it was Martin Lawrence. One of them said that they hate getting high with white people because white people, like black people sit around, they smoke a joint or whatever, they chill, they just have a good time. And white people are like, give me the coke, give me the speed, give me the GHB. Like they just want to fucking take everything all at once and just like fucking push it straight to the edge. Like this is fucking death. And they're just like right fucking here, just towing the absolute precipice of death. And that's kind of how I am in life, really. Like, I want to know, okay, here's death, and I want to be somewhere, like, right here in this region. Because anything less is just, it's not really committed, right? So you got to be on the verge of death at all times to really be able to be feeling yourself. You have to give me a break here. The MK, it's on my fucking diet, so, on my appetite, so let me get a sip. So, since I mentioned MK, where we are at currently in the cycle, at the week 15 mark, total cycle time, or week 3 mark of the Deca, is we've got 500 milligrams of Test E, 300 milligrams of Masteron E, 100 milligrams of Trenbolone E, 200 milligrams of nandrolone decanoate, 50 milligrams of Proviron in 2 25 milligram per day doses, and I'm currently taking 5 milligrams of MK677 in the morning and 5 milligrams of MK677 in the evening. That would be the anabolic load. The ancillary load is 4 milligrams of cabergoline per week, per week. I'm still, I was at 4 milligrams of Arimidex per week, but I think with the addition of the Proviron, we might end up in the 3.5 milligram range. I'm thinking the Proviron does definitely seem to potentially have some effect on aromatase. I haven't confirmed this yet. We're somewhere in the 3.5 to 4 milligram range on the Arimidex. Obviously, I'm taking 160 milligrams of telmisartan. I take half of a milligram of Xanax before bed. I take 2 sleeping pills currently, Zopiclone at 7.5 milligrams. Ambien, my Ambien dose I've actually changed recently. So one thing that I will update you on during this cycle, I had hoped that by removing by taking 200 milligrams of Tren out of my system, that it would massively improve my sleep. That has only been partially true. So, and again, it's only 3 weeks, so it's not fully out yet. But where I'm at now with my sleep is I go to sleep very easily. So I take 7.5 milligrams of Zopiclone, and I take 5 milligrams of Ambien, and that will put me pretty much straight to sleep with my wife, give or take. The problem is that I'm waking up about 3 to 4 hours later and my mind is spinning up. And so what I've been doing is, so I have 10 milligram Ambien tabs. So I take a full Zopiclone, half of an Ambien, I go to sleep. When I wake up in the middle of the night, if my brain starts to spin up, I take the other half of the Ambien pill because it's relatively short acting. And that puts me back to sleep in the middle of the night, and then I sleep relatively good through the night. Last night I did a lot more tossing and turning, but that could be just because I slept for 12 hours the day before, so I wasn't really needing to sleep that badly. But all in all, my sleep has been better on the lower dose. Now, for the most exciting part, the part that you probably care about the most, is what is going on in the gym. I am a fucking monster in the gym. Last night, I set a new PR. I started out with I was doing dumbbell curls to start. I do alternating dumbbell curls as my first exercise 1 week, and then the next week I start on preacher curls. So my previous max on alternating dumbbell curls was 60-pound dumbbells, I think for 6. 60-pound dumbbells for 6 was my previous max. Yesterday I went to the gym. I did, I think, 35s, 45s, 50s, 60s. And when I did the 60s, I got like fucking 9. So I picked the 70s up for the first time ever and did a 5th set and got 70-pound dumbbells times 6, which was fucking monstrous feeling. I mean, 70-pound dumbbells in curls. I mean, these are some big fucking dumbbells. Now, I'm sure there's gonna be some fucking asshole in the audience like, wow, bro, that's fucking weak, dude. I totally curled the fucking 120s for like 10. Fuck you. I don't give a shit. So my PR last night on alternating dumbbell curls was 70-pound dumbbells in each hand times 6 on my 5th rep. So my strength is trending up on the Tren and Deca relative to cycles where I was running high test, high Tren, no Deca, no Masteron. Like one of the strongest I've ever been was probably when I ran like 700 milligrams of test, 550 milligrams of Tren, 30 milligrams of Anavar. That was probably one of my strongest, like the cycles where I was at my strongest. That was over a year and a half ago, so I don't remember all those weights. But I also weighed like 15 pounds less when I ran that cycle, and I had no joint support. The thing that I think is actually leading to the strength is not necessarily that the Deca itself is making me stronger. It's just that I don't feel my joints. And so where my joints have always been my limiting factor to how much I can lift, now that I have this substantial joint support that the Deca is providing, I think it's just really it's allowing me to shift gears, get into a deeper gear and lift more weight. So I'm seeing basically all of my weights trending up. Although I will admit that it's in this sort of bizarre, it's not like in the past. So like in the past when I jumped on a Tren blast, some of my earlier Tren blasts like Tren and Anavar, I would go to the gym and my lift log would just be like PR, 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 PR. Like I would PR like 5 or 6 different exercises. I'm not having that experience right now. What I am having experience is like I go to the gym, I set a massive PR on like my first set on dumbbell curls, and then everything else is like, basically a little bit stronger than the week before, but not like anything remarkable. So like if I start with alternating dumbbell curls and then I go to preacher curls, my preacher curls will be weaker that week relative to if I start with preacher curls. So what I'm seeing is that there's a net strength increase because I'll do alternating dumbbell curls to start, and then when I do preacher curls as my second exercise, my strength on my second exercise is equivalent to as if it were my first exercise, if that makes sense. So while the weights are not up above baseline, they're up relative to the amount of exhaustion that my muscle has already experienced from having started with a different exercise to begin with. So I'm seeing a marked increase in strength across the board. It's just not that kind of fucking, really extreme strength that you might get on like a shit ton of Tren and Anavar, where you're literally breaking PRs on every fucking set. So I'm very happy to see that my strength is up without having to increase my androgen load. So basically, last night, I've been trying to keep my workout short because up until now I've been low on calories, and there's some other scheduling conflicts. And last night was one of those nights in the gym where you look down, you feel like you've been there for an hour, and you look down, you've almost been there for 2. And it's like, oh shit, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And those are my favorite workouts. There's nothing better than when, by the time it occurs to you to think about how long have I been lifting, you're almost 2 hours into a workout. Rather than like when you're in the middle of a cut and you have no fucking calories and you're like, God, have I been here for an hour yet? And it's like 45 minutes. Those are shitty workouts. So all signs and symptoms are pointing to the fact that my body is in a condition where it really wants to train. I've got lots of energy to spare. Obviously, taking the Proviron in the evening has a little bit of a psychological kick to it. It's nothing even remotely close to a typical oral like an Anadrol or a D-ball or an Anavar. One of the things I will report that I've been noticing is that when I take the Proviron, seems to be increasing my aggression. Last night I was pretty fucking triggered actually in the gym. Some of my son's friends, I may make an entire video about this, so if you guys see a video titled like for my son's friends, you'll know why. But some of his friends eventually found my YouTube channel, found of course the links on my YouTube channel, so they started questioning him about, oh my God, your dad makes crazy fucking roid videos, your parents are doing fucking OF, your mom has like a sexy fucking IG profile. And I fucking went off about that shit in the gym last night because some disrespectful things were being said. So I had to nip that shit in the fucking bud real quick. And so I had a bit of a fucking rage workout last night because I was pretty geared up about some shit that my son had told me his friends were saying. And so I may have to make a whole video about that. But I'm noticing in general that the Proviron seems to be increasing my aggression level. So I was looking up trying to figure out why that would be the case, because Proviron is a funny drug. It's basically useless for bodybuilding in the context of building muscle, because when you ingest Proviron and it gets transported into the skeletal muscle tissue, 3-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase enzyme comes along and basically totally inactivates it. So it basically has little to no muscle building properties. The thing that Proviron does do is it binds to SHBG with an extraordinarily high affinity, and it's kind of a suicide bond. In this suicide bond's probably not the right word that I want to use, but basically it binds so strong to SHBG that it will kick the hormone that was previously bound to the SHBG molecule off, or so I've read. So you've got sex hormone binding globulin, also known as SHBG, that binds to pretty much all of your sex hormones. It'll bind to DHT, it'll bind to testosterone, it'll bind to estrogen, and it effectively deactivates it. It makes it not available, it makes it not free. It makes it not available for your body to use and do anything exciting with it. And so when you ingest Proviron comes along and goes, get the fuck out of here, I'm moving in, I'm squatting on this fucking receptor, and so it releases whatever was attached to it. So ingesting Proviron can cause your testosterone level to go up because it unbinds all of the testosterone that was bound to the receptor. Well, last night I was trying to figure out why this would be causing such a change in like my aggression level. At first I thought, like, is Tren somehow binding to the SHBG and it's getting kicked off, and so I'm feeling more tren. What I found out is that DHT binds with 5 times greater affinity for SHBG than testosterone. So if it is true that Proviron will unbind whatever is currently bound, then you would have potentially up to 5 times more DHT in your system suddenly being freed by the Proviron, which could lead to some serious aggression and obviously whatever effects DHT will have in the body, which is why it's possible that Proviron can virilize women, why it can be bad for your prostate, why it can cause acne and male pattern balding. It could be that it's not actually the Proviron that's causing any of those androgenic effects. It's the fact that it's releasing the previously bound up DHT, and then the fucking DHT's floating around, landing on androgen receptors and fucking knocking the hair off your head and giving you benign prostate hypertrophy and acne and all these other things. Also possibly why it really drives up your sex drive, because DHT is known to do that. So you got that in the mix. So my workouts currently are extremely savage. I'm setting PRs on a relatively regular basis. My joints feel fucking amazing. I'm not gonna lie and tell you that they're perfect. You know, there is some post-set, pain or irritability, but nothing that is affecting me during my actual lift, which of course makes me want to increase the dose to 300. But the problem that I'm having, if I had to say, like, so far what the biggest negative is the combination of Deca and Trenbolone is very, very, very progestogenic. I'm already on 4 milligrams of cabergoline to offset the prolactin effects caused by these 2 doses. So as much as I would like to raise the dose of the Deca or the Tren or something, I mean, fuck, dude. Like, I like to take drugs, and I'm not scared of ancillaries, but, I mean, this shit costs money at the end of the day, too. And so, going through 4 milligrams of Arimidex a week is, what am I saying? 4 milligrams of, I'm so sorry. I'm taking 1 milligram of cabergoline and 4 milligrams of Arimidex. I'm out of my mind. I got that totally backwards. So, it's producing a lot of prolactin. It's causing me to have to continuously increase my cabergoline dose. So I just don't know how high I really want to go. A lot of people have said, hey Mike, aren't you concerned about left ventricular hypertrophy taking cabergoline? And I have said repeatedly that I'm not concerned about it because I'm taking such a small amount of cabergoline. All of the research studies that I've seen that have any suggestion, that have even remotely suggested a connection between cabergoline and left ventricular hypertrophy, are at doses that are on much higher doses of caber, doses that are used to treat prolactinomas, where a person could be taking 4 or 5 milligrams per week. That seems to be the level where you start looking at potentially having some cardio remapping going on. And since I'm nowhere near that dose, I'm not worried about it. But if I continue to add more 19-Nor compounds to the mix and my cabergoline dose continues to increase with, to get higher and higher and higher, eventually we're gonna have a fucking problem. And so for the time being, I'm going to stick with these doses because I'm also happy to report that my morning weight today is up to 207 pounds. So I've already put on another 2 pounds in the evening. I still have 6 visible abs. Again, because of the MK in the system, the added food, that's likely where the weight's coming from. I'm going to have weight come from some water and some excess, food in my colon in the beginning, and then we'll just see how high the scale is going to go. I'm not seeing changes in the measurements of my biceps or anything. Although I do feel like, and people have commented multiple times, that my back seems to be growing. I do feel like I'm getting, my back is getting thicker and wider. I actually had a guy walk up to me in the gym the other day, and it's weird, like, you know, you always like getting comments on your, compliments on your body, and this guy was very nice, but it just fucking creeped the shit out of me. This guy walks up to me and taps me on the shoulder, and I look over and I take my headphone off, and he goes, "Hey bro, I just wanted to tell you, you've got a really nice back." And I was like, thanks dude. And then like afterwards I just felt dirty for some reason. I don't know if it's just a combination of the words, like maybe if he said, "Damn bro, your back is jacked," or, you know, "Your back is huge," it would have been good. But when dude was like, "You've got a really nice back," I was just kind of like, just felt fucking slimy after that. But I do think that my body, I do think that my back is growing. My shirts are fitting a little tighter in various different places. So, but I'm not seeing a lot of bicep growth. So maybe after that 70-pound dumbbell PR, we'll get some growth going into the biceps. So, sleep is good. No psychological problems. Proviron seems to be freeing up androgens to do even more work than they were doing before. The Deca at 200 milligrams per week is sufficient for, I would say, like 80% joint support. You know, it's fucking kind of arbitrary when you try to put a number to it like that. But for the most important part, I'm experiencing no negative side effects. Like, I feel substantially better on this cocktail than I was feeling on the higher dose of Tren. Admittedly, it is very dependent on managing my prolactin. So the other day when my wife said, "Hey, you're kind of in the shitter. You've told me before when this happens to tell you to up your Caber," I took an extra dose of Caber that morning, and by the end of the night, I was feeling substantially better. So the jury is all the way in. Cabergoline, at least for me, is an absolute must to manage 19-nor compounds. They cause a unique kind of depression. Somebody kind of tried to argue the point in the, I think it was I was talking about in Discord. Somebody was asking, how can you tell when your prolactin is high? And I said, well, without, you know, you can go get a test, but for me, it's pretty easy to self-diagnose. When my prolactin gets high, I get Deca, and Deca is distinct from conventional ED. So conventional ED is just an inability to get an erection, or it takes a long time, or it's hard to get an erection. With prolactin-induced ED or prolactin-induced Deca, what I find to be the case is that often I have no trouble getting an erection, but it will be softer than usual and it won't last. And so sometimes if the sex act is even in like a 10-minute sex act, like not even a long act, I could go from like 80% hard to 50% to back to 80%. There's like a lot of variability in firmness. And so you'll have all the drive and intention in the world, but you just don't perform well. And it's like the biggest insecurity causing situation in the world because there's no rhyme or reason to it. Like, everything can just be going great. It can be feeling great. You could be feeling your girl, and then it just breaks. It just like fucking stops working. You're like, no, what's going on here? And it's just, you can't predict it. You can't count on it, and it's miserable. That usually happens to me before the depression will come on, I think. But for me, high prolactin causes not just like conventional depression, I think. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have like major depressive disorder or anything. It causes like a hopelessness and despair. It's like just being sucked into a deep hole and you just feel like there's no way out. It's almost like you don't even want to get out. It's just like everything has become so dark and twisted. The possibility of things being good again just seems ridiculous. It's like your worldview is so negative that, oh, my camera's about to go off. Give me 1 second. your worldview is so negative that it's almost like I don't want to be in a situation where I could possibly look at this world in a positive light. It's so objectively shitty. We're living in hell, and I don't want to do anything that would cause me to even possibly be happy, because I shouldn't be happy in this horrific place that we're living in. It's like that level of fucked up. And then you could take another dose of Caber and like 24 hours later be sitting out in the front yard laughing and giggling with my daughter, just having a time of my life. I mean, it's that big of a fucking precipice for me. I understand that's probably not everybody, but just like some people were saying, they combine 219 Nors and they're just like a basket case. I am not having that experience at all. I'm not having any unusual anxiety. I'm not having any OCD. I'm not having any Deca. I'm basically having zero negative side effects. So if things continue the way they're going, and my body continues to grow, and my strength continues to grow, I'm going to be very soon saying that this is probably my favorite cycle ever. It's got all of these, typically unconnected pieces. Normally people bulk and they use like a test and maybe test Deca anadrol, like a few wet compounds to put a bunch of size on. And then they cut and they use like maybe test Tren and Anavar with like a small amount of test. And what I'm doing is trying to chase this unicorn scenario where I can build muscle without looking like shit in the process. And so I've got a bunch of tests and some Deca and some Tren that all have a lot of androgenic ability to build muscle. And then I've got Masteron and Proviron to try to keep my aesthetic dry and tight and hard. And I'm keeping my estrogen in high normal so that I don't carry around excessive water. And so I'm trying to find this sweet spot where I can grow lean tissue without ever really looking like I'm in a bulk. That's been the fairy tale from the beginning, and that's what I'm trying to master on this cycle. We will see how it goes. Obviously, I'm not going to make any definitive claims for another few weeks because the Deca is still technically climbing in my system. But at this point, I don't know why. I don't know what would go wrong. Again, as the Deca climbs, the only thing that I could foresee needing to change is maybe more increase of the prolactin dosage. That's about it. So I'm trying to think of what questions people would ask. I've covered sleep, gym performance, sexual performance is on point. My appetite is through the roof on MK677. My weight is going up. I'm staying lean. I'm not turning into a water balloon. I don't have any psychological problems. I think that's everything. I don't know what else anybody would be asking. So obviously if I've missed something, please leave a comment in the section below. But I've been on blast for a long time now. I can't even guess at how long. When I say blast, I've been on at least 600 milligrams of gear, I think approaching 8 months now, I think. So I was cruising on 600 milligrams of gear, and then when I went on blast, I jumped it up to like 900 to 1100, depending on whether I had an oral in there or not. So right now I'm hanging out in that 900 milligram per week mark. And that seems to be sufficient to be creating a lot of anabolism and growth alongside of, well, I guess technically now with 50 milligrams of Proviron a day, I'm not. So that's another 350. So I'm technically on 1250 milligrams of androgens now. I forgot. Like, that's the thing, man. I just kind of throw fucking compounds in and don't even, and it's like, oh, I'll just throw in like 50 milligrams of Proviron. And I guess I didn't think about how much actual total androgen that is. So I guess where we're at now is about 1,250 milligrams of total androgens and lots of ancillaries, 160 milligrams a day, telmisartan, to offset my blood pressure problems. I take 1 Nexium a day. I take 5 milligrams of Cialis. I take, like I said, half a milligram of Xanax. Just about anything, man. You name it, I'm probably taking it. So there you have it. There's the update. I will continue to update you with physique updates. You should probably going to start seeing a lot of post-workout physique updates. In case you guys start wondering, why is this guy showing us his most muscular pose and his back and his abs every fucking day? It's because if my weight starts rapidly increasing on the MK the way it did last time, then I want to have a log of what my body was looking like so that I don't lie to myself, so that we can tell, is this water, is this fat, is this muscle, what are we really putting on this frame if I start to see meteoric weight gain, weight changes. So I'm going to go to the gym tonight, I think, with my wife, and it's going to be, I think, shoulders and legs. So maybe I'll do another pose down because I'm already up a couple of pounds. So I'll probably shoot another update video, and then you guys will probably start seeing those possibly every day. Maybe every few days. We'll just see how it goes. What else can I say? Thank you to everyone with the super tips. I've been seeing those quite frequently. That goes a long way to supporting the channel. Please check out my wife's channel and give her a subscription. We're trying to get her up to 1,000 subs so she can be monetized and can start making, adding a little bit to the income here. We're trying to stretch all of our revenue pathways so that maybe at the bare minimum, the job that I eventually have to get will not take me completely away from the camera, and I can continue doing, because this is what I want to do. This is what I really enjoy doing. I've got some new clients. If anybody needs coaching, please contact me. For those of you who I have coached in the past or done a consultation with, I'm not the average coach. Like, I'm not going to hound you guys. Like, I'm not going to call you every month and be like, hey, do you want another consultation? I don't want to be that annoying dude. So if you hired me for a month and you want an update visit, please reach out to me on Instagram and we'll set that up. If you want more hands-on coaching, if you want somebody to go over your progress pictures, your daily caloric intake, your training, if you need something more hands-on, then that's going to be $50 a week. I've got one client signed up on that, possibly a second one today. If you're just looking for like a monthly check-in, then obviously I'm doing that at $50 a month, but you can still text message me along the way. So we're trying to grow multiple revenue streams so that we can continue doing this work together, is the way we support ourselves. My wife's Primobolan cycle is going phenomenal, and I think that she is about to make the decision that she's going to go all in on anabolics. I think. I don't know. So we could see some different anabolics in the mix in the near future. She just started a cut. So for those of you who follow our fan sites, our free sites, if you're on the Discord and you like to see her progress pictures, little sexy pictures that I post, you're probably going to start seeing more and more of those coming up, because we're going to be tracking her body during her cut. And I love taking pictures of that belly. So there might be a lot more lingerie content showing up on the Discord as we start cutting down her very limited amount of body fat to see just what her musculature looks like underneath. So stay tuned for that. As always, thank you for watching. Subscribe, share, do everything you can to support the channel, and we'll see you on the next one.